prefer to sleep in.
So do I. It only starts at school test.
Oh, okay, well, that's not too bad.
Bye.
I'd like to call this meeting to order. Welcome, everyone. At this time, I'd like to give the opening to Councillor Susan Penner.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. It's a very important couple of weeks in Steinbach. Last week, the Cottages by Silver Linings Care opened, and next week is the grand opening of the long-awaited personal care home. Both these projects are significant for our community and our seniors. Not only are they care homes, but they are doing care in a new way with a greater focus on community living. As our population ages, it is so important to have supports in place to meet the needs of those who need care, whether it's home care, assisted living, or a personal care home. Quality care is becoming even more important with the legalization of medical assistance in dying. Studies show that the main reasons people choose MAID are because they lose the ability to engage in meaningful activities and they lose the ability to perform activities of daily life. Proper care can help people to continue to engage in the activities of life in meaningful ways, improving their quality of life and their desire to live. While it's important to care for our seniors in this way, it's also important to remember the family caregivers. There are many people taking parents to appointments, administering meds to spouses still at home, or bringing friends to chemo appointments, to name a few. They are caregivers all around us, and some are carrying a tremendous load. In general, a culture of caring is essential to health and wellness as we age. I'm grateful to live in a community that values our seniors and those that take care of them. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Penner. Council, we have the agenda in front of us, looking for a motion to adopt. Councillor Hebert, second by Councillor Penner. Any comments? Call for the question. All those in favor? Opposed? That is carried. We have the minutes of April 19th, 2022, the regular council meeting. They start on page 1. Council, we've all had an opportunity to review. Looking for a motion to approve. Councillor Hebert, second by Councillor Swagstra. Any comments?
No comments.
We'll call for the question. All those in favor? Opposed? That is carried. Is there any business arising from the minutes? Okay, seeing none. Council, there are no public hearings, delegations, or reports and recommendations from City Manager today, so we'll go directly into administration. We'll go to 9A. This is accounts payable. It's in the back of the book. Looking for a motion to approve. Councillor Siemens, second by Councillor Hebert. Any comments?
Nothing further.
Call for the question. All those in favor? That is carried. We have 9B, excavator licenses. It's on page 3. Council, how would you like to proceed? Looking for a motion to approve. Councillor Hebert, second by Councillor Susan. Any comments?
The only comment is that we need excavators, and it's good that people are applying. Thank you.
It's me.
Well said.
Yeah. Here, here.
Okay. We'll go directly into the question. Call for the question. All those in favor? Opposed? That is carried. We have 9C. This is the Bylaw 2007. This is 2022 Realty and Education Tax Levy. This is first reading. It is on, starts on page 4 of our package. Mr. Worthing, could you please introduce this file?
Mr. Mayor and members of council, this bylaw 2207 is a requirement for the city to consider its annual realty and education tax levy. It is required to be approved by council by bylaw. The realty and education tax levy bylaw sets tax rates for a variety of purposes for the city. Within this bylaw, it authorizes a municipal mill rate totaling 14.1 mils for 2022, along with the applicable Hanover School Division levy and Provincial Education levy. Recommendation is to give this bylaw first reading.
Thank you, Mr. Worthing. Council, how would you like to proceed? Councillor Swagstra.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I'll make the motion for first reading.
Do we have a seconder for that? Councillor Hebert. Go ahead, Councillor.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. This is for our budget for the Realty and Education Tax Levy. Obviously, we've given approval in principle to the budget at a previous meeting, and now we're going ahead with first reading on the actual bylaw itself. As the city manager noted, there is a lot of projects that are underway in this budget. There is a small tax increase of 0.4 mils, and that is mainly because of the extra RCMP officer that we're putting in place for this year in order to deal with traffic issues in our city. But we are certainly moving ahead with a lot of important projects, a lot of infrastructure renewal that is happening, and a lot of services that we continue to provide. So I think this is a good budget, and we should approve first reading.
Thank you. Nothing further? Anything further of council? Anything closing?
Nope.
Well, council, I think Councillor Schweitzer said it well. This was a good budget. I call for the question. All those in favor? Opposed? That is carried. We will go to 9D. This is bylaw 2208, 2022 Business Tax Levy. This is also first reading. It starts on page 28 of our package. Mr. Workentine, could you please introduce this file?
Mr. Mayor, members of council, this is related to the city's budget, related to the levy of business taxes for 2022. Recommendation is to give this bylaw first reading, which would authorize a business tax levy with a rate of 0.5%, which is consistent with many previous years.
Thank you, Mr. Workentine. Council, how would you like to proceed? Councillor Penner?
Move to approve.
Second by Councillor Schweitzer. Go ahead, Councillor Penner.
Yeah, this is basically an in and out. We collect the 0.5% of business tax, and then we turn that over to the Chamber of Commerce, and that is what they use to operate their facility and their business. Obviously, as we get more businesses in town, that amount, their total amount naturally increases with that. So even if we don't change the percentage, they do end up getting more every year. But at the end of the day, it's just an in and an out.
Thank you. Anything further?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. As Councillor Penner noted, this is in and out. This is how the Chamber receives funding from the city. The rate is quite low. It's been at 0.5% for many years. I know that about 15 or so years ago, the rate had been 1%, and council had gradually began to decrease it, and we've settled on 0.5% as an acceptable rate.
Thank you. Anything further of council? Anything in closing?
Nothing further.
Call for the question. All those in favor? Opposed? That is carried. We have 9E. This is bylaw 2006. Swimming. This is a swimming pool. We'll be doing second and third reading today. It starts on page 31 on your package. Mr. Workentine, could you please introduce this file?
Mr. Mayor, this bylaw 2206 was presented to council at the previous meeting for consideration, and at that time it was given first reading. I would like to draw council's attention to some material changes that have been made to the bylaw since that time, and that would consist of additional wording in section 5, found on page 36 of your agenda package. It does relate specifically to the authority, or providing the authority for the city to perform inspections. It is intended to provide clarity and specific permissions within the bylaw to aid in its administration. With those changes, recommendation is provided to give, or it is recommended for council to give this bylaw second and third reading.
Thank you, Mr. Workentine. Council, how would you like to proceed? Councillor Schweitzer,
I'll move second reading.
second by Councillor Hebert. Go ahead, Councillor Schweitzer.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. We'll jump right into this one. And I think that obviously we had given approval on first reading that in terms of updating this bylaw and bringing up to modern standards. And as the city manager noted, the revision on second reading is to have the clarity regarding the powers of inspection. And so in section 5, you see just making it explicit that the city has the ability to actually do the inspection, to enter the property at a reasonable time to do so, and may take notes of any violations, can take photographic evidence, And it's important for clarity, just so that there's no doubt about the fact that the city is able to enforce this bylaw. But again, we're bringing it up to contemporary standards, so we should move ahead with it.
Anything further, Councillor Hebert?
It's, as indicated, the change is overdue. It's from, quoted 79, I think, was the original, 77 was the original bylaw. And what I like about this, it clarifies some of the things like the 5-foot fence or 4 feet a fence from a pool. And, you know, if you have a pool, you have to have the gate or any doors to that area locked. So it ensures safety for our citizens in our community. And also what I like is that it updates the dollar value of the penalties and the violations. So it's a good thing. It's a well-written, and I commend administration on their work they did on this one.
Anything further of council? Anything closing?
Nope.
Council, call for the question. All those in favor? Opposed? That is carried. We'll go directly into third reading. Looking for a motion for third reading. Councillor Penner, second by Councillor Hebert. Any further comments?
We don't need to dive into this any further, no.
But not head first.
Anything further?
Well, I'll just add that this is about safety. I mean, to have a bylaw is good, but the safety of kids and people, even young children wandering off the street into a pool that isn't built correctly, this is a good thing.
You're here.
Anything further of council? Anything closing? Okay, once again, call for the question for third reading. All those in favor? Opposed? That is carried. We have 9F. This is Bylaw 2209. This is the admin penalty. We're looking at first and second reading at this time. Council, it starts on page 39. Mr. Working, could you please introduce this file?
Mr. Mayor and members of council, this administrative penalty amending bylaw number 2209 is more of a housekeeping matter. There have been several changes made to existing bylaws and at least one new bylaw that have been introduced in the last few months that council has approved. And along with that, in order for the city to be able to enforce these bylaws and the amendments to them, the recommendation is to proceed with first reading of this administrative penalty amending bylaw, which would provide the authority for the city to do so. The recommendation is for this bylaw to be given first reading.
Thank you, Mr. Working. Council, how would you like to proceed? Councillor Swykstra?
I'll make the motion to approve.
Is there anyone to second? Councillor Penner? Go ahead, Councillor.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. As the city manager noted, this is ensuring that we are able to enforce any penalties, any fines that are given under our newly revised bylaws, the burning bylaw, the business license bylaw, and the swimming pool bylaw. And so we're just simply adding those fines into our administrative penalty bylaw, so that way we are able to enforce it the same way we do our other bylaws.
Anything further?
Nothing further?
Anything further of council? Council, nor do I have anything to add, so I'll go directly into the question. All those in favor of first reading? Opposed? That is carried. Okay, council will go directly into second reading. Looking for a motion to approve second reading. Councillor Hebert, second by Councillor Penner. Any comments?
Nothing further to what already has been stated.
Anything further?
Well, the only comment I would make is that these penalties are exceedingly mild, I guess, in terms of the amount we're charging for the penalty, but hopefully it's enough that it still motivates people to follow properly and pay on time as well.
Nothing further.
Anything further of council? Anything in closing?
Nothing further.
Council, call for the question. All those in favor of second reading? That is carried. Thank you. We have 9G. This is 2021 reserve transfers. Council, it starts on page 47. Mr. Working, could you please introduce this file?
This schedule is provided on pages 47 and 48 of council's agenda package. The reserve transfer authorizing resolution or approving resolution is submitted every year to council, and it is one of the final steps in our the creation or preparation of the city's financial statements for the year. What it does do is it indicates a summary showing what the city's financial plan estimated to be transferred to or from a variety of reserve funds that are held by the city, and then compares it to the actual amounts based on the actual operating or capital program that the city has had. The details are listed, and if there are specific questions of council, I can certainly try and answer them. However, it is just a summary and gives council a comprehensive look at what all of the reserve transfers were for the year. Recommendation is for council to pass a resolution to accept these transfers.
Thank you, Mr. Warding. Council, are there any questions for administration? Okay, council, then looking for a motion to approve these transfers. Councillor Pinner, second by Councillor Pinner. Go ahead.
I don't have too much to say other than reserves are just an essential way in which we manage our budget from year to year and also in the long term. So it's a really important way we do business, and it really helps us when we need to do projects, for example, like the rec center we're doing, having accumulated the money in the reserve really helps when we want to do particularly big capital projects.
Anything further?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. As part of paying for the projects that we do over the previous year, we need to draw out of our reserves in order to pay as part of the funding. We also fund through debt as well, but that is the transfer of the funds to finish up the payment of the projects.
Anything further of council? Anything in closing? Yes, council, as Councillor Pinner had alluded to, that this is how we operate. We will put surpluses in accounts and we'll save them in reserves. And then at a time when it's time to work on a bigger project, we'll pull that money out and we'll get the project done. It limits our borrowing, but it maximizes what we can build. And I think it's very prudent and very smart to take these monies and save them in reserves when they're as a surplus. So call for the question. All those in favor? Opposed? That is carried. Is there any questions of council? Okay, seeing none, we'll move to 11, Correspondence and Petitions. We have a letter from the Minister of Municipal Relations referring to the 2022 Provincial Budget. How would you like to proceed? Take it as information. Okay. We've got 11B, the Minister of Environment, Climate and Parks. This is referring to Manitoba Compost Support Payment. It starts on page 54. How would you like to proceed? Take it as information. And 11C, this is the Epp Library Minutes, March 16th, 2022. Council, take it as information at this time. Okay.
Could I just ask a question?
Yes.
For you to Councillor Damien Penner?
Yes, you can.
Thank you. 5C, or I guess just number, 5C, when it comes to that topic of the non-resident library membership fees, can you please explain to me what that is in regards to?
Right, so as citizens of Steinbach, every citizen gets a free membership with that's attached to their home address. If you're a non-resident of Steinbach, the resident fee is, I believe, $110, and some municipalities choose to offset that with subsidies directly to the residents or reimbursements. And so there are quite a few residents that, or non-residents, so residents that are not of the city of Steinbach, when they're coming in and wanting to become members, they are a little bit displeased with regards to the expense that comes with it. Primarily, the discussion around that was brought forward that as the city of Steinbach being the largest funder of the Epp Library, to keep that in place.
Just one
Yeah,
more
go ahead.
question. What would be a scenario where they would be included and not have to pay the non-resident?
As an example, well, so the Epp Library is one of the largest independent library in Manitoba. So as an example, most, you think of South Central Branch, for example, I think that's 3 or 4 municipalities that all come together, so it's a regional library. So what happens with that then is every municipality contributes a certain amount, it's a dollar amount put forward by the province, and it's a low amount, but each individual municipality has to put that minimum amount towards the library, and then the province will also kick in additional funding over top.
Like, is there any reason we can't be a regional library?
At this point in time, logistically, no.
Okay. So if the other RMs were open to it, we could do, okay. thank you.
Absolutely.
Well, that actually gives me a question for Councillor Penner being on board. Was that something that we could, that the library could ask, or is it best that the city would ask the municipalities to do?
I think it really comes down to the residents of the other municipalities and wanting what's best for them and seeing if they want to be part of the Epp Library to voice their concerns to the surrounding municipalities to come forward.
So it's really creating awareness with those that are using the library and wanting to use the library.
Right.
That live outside of these cities.
Yes, that's correct. And there's about 1 in 6 residents, or one of 6 members of the library, patrons of the library are actually not non-residents. So there is a significant amount that attend the Epp Library, that pay money to pull memberships, that are not residents of Steinbach. So there definitely is a numbers case to see the Epp Library look at getting regionalized.
Definitely a need for awareness too.
Absolutely.
Yes, thank you. Thank you very much. Thank you for your question. And at this point, council will take this as information. Council, we have other business. We've got 12A. This is the Epp Library appointing a board member. We'll be appointing Joanne Dick to the library board. And I will ask if we could have a motion to ratify that appointment.
Motion to approve?
Okay, second by Councillor Penner. Any comments? Okay, call for the question. All's in favor? Opposed? That is carried. Looking for a motion to adjourn. Councillor Hebert, second by Councillor Stevens. Call for the question. All's in favor? That is carried. Next regular council meeting is Tuesday, May 17th, 2022 at 7:30 p.m. Thank you.